Hey guys, it's Denise with Lazy K Mountain Homestead. I know I haven't made a video in a couple months, but please forgive me. We've had a lot going on. Holidays came with Thanksgiving, and we went away and dealing with health issues. Don't want to sound like a broken record, but I have been, and that kind of, makes it so it's hard to make videos. So please forgive me. I've also been crocheting a lot of gifts and making quilts, so that takes time too. So I'm back, I think. So anyway, today, Merry Almost Christmas, we are going to make a quick and easy Christmas candy. I haven't made this one in a very, very long time. Gosh, I bet I was a teenager, so you're probably saying, well, she's old as dirt. Yes, I am. So anyway, that was in the 70s. I think I learned this with my 10th grade teacher, Mrs. Palmore. She taught me a lot of stuff. She was amazing. But anyway, let's get back to this. This is called Christmas Gumdrop Nougat. Now, if you're not familiar with what a gumdrop is, it is like a gummy with sugar all around. Let me bring this up so you can see. Sometimes they're not shaped exactly like this. If you've ever had like orange slices, which you could use, as long as it's something that's like this. But I went and found gumdrops at my local store, and I cut them in half, and this is the cup right here. It's a little bit more than a cup, but I like a lot because they are the star of the show, in my opinion. Now, what you're going to need, let me back up. This is going to be half of the recipe. The normal recipe calls for a 9x9 dish. This is probably a 5x9, and I have lined it with foil. Now you can use saran wrap, cling wrap, or you can use parchment paper. That's clearly up to you. You just want to make sure that it has molded itself to your dish, so you can easily pull it out after this candy has cooled, and it will need to cool in the fridge overnight before you slice it. Okay, so what I'm going to do also is spray this with the spray oil, just also to help with the candy release. Even though it's got white chocolate chips, sometimes it doesn't always want to release, so I just do that. So I've got my dish prepared. So what we're going to need is one bag, 11 to 12 ounces of white chocolate. These are chocolate melts, candy melts. You can use the white chocolate chips, or you can use Baker's chocolate white chocolate, but you don't want to use the almond bark because I've tried it before for different things, and to me it just doesn't have the same flavor. It's, it's okay if you're going to dip like biscotti in it or something, or use it as a glaze or something like that, but it just doesn't have the vanilla flavor like this does. You're going to need a 10-ounce bag of mini marshmallows, a couple tablespoons of butter, I believe, and your gumdrops, and that's it. That's really easy, and it works up fast. We're going to need a double boiler. I don't have a real double boiler, but I've used this method my whole life. I've got a pot on the stove about that far up with water, and it's simmering. And I have a Pyrex glass dish, which can handle the heat. Now, if you're going to use this method, you want to make sure that you've got a glass dish that will handle the heat, and Pyrex has always done the job for me. The water's not going to touch the bottom. It's just going to have the heat and steam come up and melt our white chocolate chips. If I keep calling it chocolate, forgive me. It's because I don't use a lot of white chips, or I should say candy melts, and the marshmallows, because we're going to create a nougat with that, and then we'll put our gumdrops in there. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on there, and I'll be back in a minute, and we will be back over to the stove. Okay, here we are at the stove. Now, since I put my dish on there, the water has started to boil, so I'm going to turn it down. We're going to add our 1 tablespoon of butter. And like I said, I want to repeat this. This is half of the original recipe. So we want the butter in there. Get a tea towel to wipe my hands off. I will have the original recipe in the description box, but I will put to the side that I did make half of this recipe in case you guys are like us and most of our grandkids aren't real white chocolate fans. We like it. Some of the adults do, so we thought we would just go ahead and make half. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and let this melt right in there. Now, if you've ever made fantasy fudge, it's kind of along the same lines a little bit, but you don't use any milk or anything. You're kind of making a nougat with your chips and your marshmallows. Okay, and I am using a wooden spoon because when I use glass, I like to use wood. I just think it's easier. Since this is going to be very hot, it's not going to have a tendency to possibly crack or chip or something if I use a metal spoon. My opinion again. Okay, we're going to put this whole container. It's 12 ounces of white melts, candy melts. And we are just going to stir that around. It's already starting to melt until it is all melted. And this will be really pretty and glossy. This is from Wilton. I got them at Walmart. And it'll probably take about, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes to melt, depending. Yeah, see, it's still kind of boiling under there. Turn it down a little bit more. You want it to be able to melt, but you don't want it to go crazy and spill over your sides and that kind of stuff. It's just water, but still. Who wants a mess? Well, I hope you guys are preparing for a nice holiday season. I'm trying to do it so you can see what I'm doing here, but I kind of have to have this on that steam. We've got our tree up. Everything is decorated. I've got all the presents bought that I'm going to buy. I think Willis is going to buy a couple more things while he's out on the road. And I've got some quilts that I'm finishing up, but luckily those people won't be here until later after Christmas. So, and my family isn't like, oh, it's Christmas Day, we got to have the Christmas. So we're actually having Christmas the weekend after Christmas here. So. All right, and you can see that it's starting to melt. See how nice that is? And I like to pretty much continuously stir it so I can keep an eye on this. I've never tried this recipe with chocolate because I like the color, the white and the nougats and everything, and it shows up really pretty. Let me turn this a little bit like that. There you go. All right. Now you want to make sure they're all melted, and we are getting to that point. I see a little bit of the little elbows of those white melts, but I think we are where we want to be. Everything is really nice and melted. Okay. Still over the double boiler, we're going to pour the entire contents of 11 ounces of mini marshmallows. Now, I'm going to just kind of fold this in. Now, I've never tried this in the microwave either. I've always done it like this. So, but these marshmallows will start to melt anytime and create that wonderful nougat that we like. Now this I don't have to watch quite as bad as I did the white melts because they melted really fast. This is going to take a bit. So you see what I'm doing. I'm just going to go ahead and come back when it's all nice and melted, and then we'll be for our next step. So we'll see you in a few. I thought we were recording, so let me just back up. I had that cooling, for about 3 minutes. And then I slowly added my gumdrops, and that was just a little over a cup, into this nougat mixture. So I do apologize for that, but it's really not something that you have to see, but you just kind of slowly add that to it, folding them in. And the reason you don't add them in right after you take this off the double boiler is because it have a tendency to probably melt these gumdrops. Okay. It does upset me though when it's not recording. So what I'm going to do is just get a little piece of saran wrap here, because, and this is in the recipe actually, and if you're using parchment paper you can do this too, but you just want to go ahead, put that over your nougat, your candy now, and you're just going to kind of mash it into your dish. Okay. Just so it's kind of level. There we go. There we go. It looks really pretty. You can see all the pretty gumdrops in there. All right, and I can do it with this now. But that technique really does work. Okay, so now what we're going to do is let this completely cool. And then we're going to put it in the fridge overnight. So tomorrow morning we'll be back, or later tonight, depending on how cold it does get in, but probably tomorrow morning, and we'll cut it and we'll be able to see it. So hope you have a good night. See you soon. Well, good morning, everybody. We are going to cut our nougat, Christmas gumdrop nougat today. So I did keep it in the fridge overnight, but I will tell you, I checked it. I got up around midnight and it was solid. So if I wanted to, I could have cut it. So that would have been probably 5 hours, and it is solid. So like I said, you just want to use these little tails here to be able to lift it out easily. And you want a pretty heavy, solid knife to cut this, because it is cold. And I am going to peel back my foil and whatever you guys used. Okay. And I have a bowl of hot water here just in case I need to rinse my knife, because it is sticky nougat, with some paper towels, and I just dunk it in there. But anyway, you can go this way or that way, whichever you want. So I'm going to go ahead and go probably 1 inch. So your little pieces are about 1 inch. They're going to be square, and you really need to press down. Let me roll up my sleeves. I wasn't thinking about that when I put this sweater on. Okay. Now, there we go. That's what it looks like. Isn't that pretty? When I was a kid and we used to make this, I used to call it, oh shoot, what did we, what's that glass? Leaded glass candy, because it was so pretty. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just take this off of this foil. There we go. You can see it's solid. Probably be easier for me to cut. But I just think that's beautiful. And you're just going to go ahead and cut each one of these. You see how hard it is? Look at me. Hold on, let me see if you can see what I'm doing here. Let me back the tripod up. You don't need to watch me struggling. Okay. And this one, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So you're just going to cut all these the desired size that you want. And it's actually hard to cut, but it's not sticking to my knife, so I guess I didn't need that hot water. But I was trying to be prepared just in case. Wow, that one goes a little bit too big, but that's okay. And I got out a small plate to put these on, but, and like I said, this is a half recipe, so it's going to make quite a few candies. Now, as it kind of gets a little warmer, it does get a little bit stickier on your knife. Oh, and it smells so good. You can smell all those fruity flavors. Okay. That one. See how it's kind of sticky, but you can just kind of slice it right down the center there. Now this one has got that little edge on there, so I'm actually just going to cut the edge off just to make everything kind of square. And I'll probably do that to the other one too that I started with. Yeah. Just to kind of make them a little uniform. Not too much, just kind of just take that little ragged edge off. But you don't have to, but I'm just doing it for looks. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to cut them in bite-sized pieces, which for us, about an inch by inch, I think. And you get 4 out of each one. Look at that, isn't that pretty? So I'm going to just set them on the plate. And this to me says Christmas. Just so pretty, my goodness. I know I keep repeating myself, I'm sorry, but when I get excited over stuff, it's just neat. Especially nostalgic things, I really enjoy trying to keep that alive. I mean, it's really easy. You can just go to the store and buy this somewhere, I'm sure. But for me, how easy was it to make? It was super easy. The hardest part, I think, of the whole recipe was stirring the marshmallows into the white chocolate. And I will tell you, I think a trick for that would be to melt your marshmallows first, maybe in the microwave, because you know how they expand. You know, watch them in there so they're already melted, and then put it into your chocolate. Well, I think I'm going to need a bigger plate. I was thinking it wouldn't be that much. Wow. Let me put this over here so you can actually see how pretty that is. And I'll bring it up to the camera when I'm done. But my goodness, I am really thrilled with this. So I'm going to take this to church this morning, along with some other things that I made. Cut that little edge off there. But guys, this is your Christmas Gumdrop Nougat. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And like I said, I've never tried it with the chocolate chips, but I'm sure you could. But you can see what I mean about how pretty this is with the white. It looks like they're in snow. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Well, I hope you like this recipe, and hope to see you soon again with the videos. And you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you. Happy day. Bye. Lazy K Mountain Homestead.